So this old man was hiking when the next thing he knew, he was lying in a hospital bed wondering what happened. That's when the doctor walked in with a somber face. With no recollection of how he got there, the old man turned to her for answers. "Hi, John," she said. "I know you must be confused, but you fainted while hiking today, and you're actually very lucky." "Fainted?" he gasped. "That doesn't sound like luck to me." "Let me explain," she said. "Another hiker found you laying on the trail, then the dispatcher sent a rescue helicopter." "I think we have different definitions of luck," John joked. The doctor took in a deep breath. "Well, the lucky part is that if you never made it here, we wouldn't have known why you fainted until it was too late." John's heart sank as the doctor continued, informing him that he had been living with an undiagnosed terminal illness. Now, he had just days to live. Alone with the terrible news, he clung onto a picture from his wallet, one of his wife who passed earlier that year. That's when he noticed a man sitting in the corner of the room. What he said took John by total surprise. "What if I told you that this is your second chance?" The man smiled. Startled, John sprung backwards in his bed. "How long have you been sitting there?" He huffed. "The whole time," the man shrugged. "But speaking of time, let's talk about yours. Or what little is left of it," John sighed. "What do you mean, second chance? You heard the doctor, didn't you?" "I did. But first, let me just ask, what are you going to do with the time you do have left?" the man asked. Tears filled John's eyes. His wife and only sister had passed, and he had no children of his own. He spent his entire life toiling over his accounting firm, a responsibility he grew to resent. His mind then flashed to his living room wall. There sat a pushpin map. On it, all of the national parks. But aside from 2 pins on Yellowstone, one for him and the other for his wife, the map was empty. And even that trip was only one of convenience for a work conference John attended. As his mind drifted, he thought back to all of the places he said they'd go, but didn't. All of the friends he let slip away, and his dream of joining the Forest Service that he traded in for his parents' approval. "I'm an old man now," John sighed. "I suppose I don't know what I'll do with the time, but I know what I'd do if I could go back." "Well," the man smiled. "That second chance I mentioned, it's here." John raised an eyebrow. The man continued. "When I snap my fingers, you'll wake up, decades and decades in the past. And while you won't remember me, or this hospital trip, or any of this, if you follow your instinct, it will lead you to a life well lived. But choose wisely," he warned, "because time waits for no one." Before John could say another word, the man snapped his fingers. In an instant, there John laid, a young man once again, on the couch in his 1-bedroom apartment, as promised, decades and decades in the past. His phone was sitting on his chest, looping the same video from his feed over and over again. He reached his thumb toward the bottom of the screen, but just before scrolling up to the next video, he caught something out of the corner of his eye. The empty map. On the armchair beside it sat his fiancée, also napping. And on the coffee table, his incomplete business registration forms. John picked up the pen to finish the forms. But then, he set it back down, crumpling up the papers instead. "Wait a second." His fiancée yawned. "I told everyone we wouldn't be there tonight so you could fill those out." "Well, let's tell them we're on our way then," John smiled. "But don't you need those to start your accounting firm?" She puzzled. John shook his head. "Accounting might be right for some people," he said, "but not for me." She took the seat beside him and grabbed onto his hand. "So, what's the new plan?" She grinned. John peered up at the map. "It starts by finding our favorite park."